like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
Okay, so we know what you're thinking. The best shark species is one that's hidden in the ocean because no one wants to come face to face with it, right? Yeah, sure. But knowledge is power. From a shark species that works as a part-time nurse to the angel of oceans, let's look at some of the rarest shark species you don't know about. Number 10, the goblin shark. If there's at least one thing you don't want to come across while diving in the ocean, it's a goblin shark. But to meet one, you should be ready to dive at least 3,000 feet within the deep. So a real-life encounter with a living one in the waters is next to impossible. But less than 50% of them have been spotted in major oceans of the world, particularly by pelagic longlines and cameras. If not for those things, we'd never know they existed. And to date, no one knows why they survive at such depth or how they reproduce because a pregnant female has never been caught. As for the looks, goblin sharks are so ugly that many people call them the family's ugly duckling. With a freaky long nose, an extendable mouth, and see-through skin that reveals their underlying blood vessels. Their pinkish skin fitted with two spooky black eyes would make most people pray they always remain hidden in the deep, never to see the light. Number 9. Nurse shark. At number 9, hilariously referred to as the couch potato of the shark world, the nurse shark leads a very lazy, unbothered, and sedentary life. It basically rests throughout the entire day and rises up only at night to creep over the sandy ocean floor to search for food. Honestly, that sounds like me throughout the whole of quarantine. As the nurse shark creeps over the sandy floors and coral reefs of its shallow water habitat, it simply, very lazily starts slurping up little animals along the way. However, despite the nurse shark being relatively slow and unproblematic, it is still important to give it all the space it needs. After all, it's still a shark, and people who make the mistake of being too relaxed or careless around the nurse shark end up with more than a few injuries. Getting too close to where the shark has chosen to rest might lead to unexpected lashing out. Seriously, this thing might be my spirit animal. Other sharks like great whites and whale sharks breathe by swimming non-stop, but this lazy shark species actually has a breathing mechanism called buccal pumping that helps it breathe. Who said being a couch potato didn't come with any benefits? Number 8. The ghost shark. Dive deep, deep into the ocean, long past the point where the sun's rays can penetrate, and you'll enter the realm of the ghost sharks. Also called chimeras, ghost sharks are dead-eyed, winged-fin fish rarely seen by people. Relatives of sharks and rays, these deep-sea denizens split off from these other groups some 300 million years ago. Even though ghost sharks have been gliding through the depths since long before the dinosaurs, we still know very little about them. These guys are so rare that it was only first filmed in 2009. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute in California sent an ROV 6,700 feet down into the water off the coast of California. They weren't even looking for ghost sharks and came upon them by sheer dumb luck. Number 7. The basking shark. The basking shark holds the 7th spot, and rightly so. It's a large and monstrous shark that can grow up to ridiculous lengths of more than 10 meters, making it the second largest fish in the ocean. This shark waits around in the water and leaves its huge mouth open so it can catch anything that passes by. Its mouth is so large and can span more than 1 meter wide. Despite the ferocious and undeniable frightening appearance of the basking shark, this species will not be latching onto your leg for food. The large shark is thankfully a type of filter-feeding shark that mainly feeds on plankton. When water passes through its gills, the spines of the gill rakers separate the plankton from the water. The shark then closes its mouth and pumps water out through its gills. That seems like a pretty swell and easy way to eat. Each year, the basking shark trades its old gill rakers for some new ones by shedding and regrowing. They love to make their trips in groups of about 100, and as the name also suggests, they love to swim very close to the surface with its dorsal fin out of the water and bask in the sun. Number 6. The dusky shark. Also known as black whalers, dusky sharks are reputed for their long seasonal migration and their abilities to swim in all oceans worldwide. Either warm or cold, they take no preference in the waters they reside in. But they're known to migrate from the part of the ocean where temperatures become too unbearable. For instance, most dusky sharks move towards the pole in summer and travel up to 2,000 nautical miles back to the equator when winter is around the corner. Because of that, dusky sharks are considered to be the generalist apex predators that can feed on many things off the menu. They can grow to a size relative to a 6-foot man, weigh twice as much, and live up to a jubilee. On that basis, we can say they're a successful species. However, their major problem is their reproductive cycle, which takes about 20 years to attain sexual maturity, with another 22 months for a female to give birth. But within this period, a dusky shark might have fallen victim to men who target them for their precious fins. Thus, they're incredibly rare and endangered. Number 5. The wobbegong. This is yet another cool shark species that will have you wondering why great whites get all the spotlight in movie time. The wobbegong is said to have been named in an Australian Aboriginal language, and the word is said to translate to shaggy beard, literally. And as you can see, that's a fantastically fitting name. This shark that you're seeing right now might look like an old dusty rug that's been sitting in the basement for months, but trust me, it's a whole lot more fascinating. This spectacular species is a bottom-dwelling shark that loves to stay very close to the ocean floor and is seldom seen swimming up top and terrorizing anyone. Its green-brownish skin is covered in a unique pattern of bold markings that help it camouflage perfectly in the sand. If a deep-sea diver were to get a little careless, an interesting encounter could occur. And trust me when I say their bites really hurt. Here's an interesting fact about the rug-like shark. It has terrible eyesight and only very sluggishly hunts for food at night. Like the nurse shark, wobbegongs don't need to move to breathe, and they also use a walking mechanism to creep on the surface of the ocean, in which they stomp along the ocean floor with their pectoral and pelvic fins. How cool is that? Number 4. The thresher shark. Thresher sharks reside in all temperate and tropical oceans of the world, except the central and western Pacific. But to see one up close, you've got to prepare for a dive of about 1,500 feet at depths where you can only imagine in your worst nightmares. Once you're there, a couple of other sharks might welcome you. But if any shark is going to catch your attention aside from the great whites, the thresher shark is amongst them. With a tail the size of their body, it's rare for anyone to miss them. That tail, however, was a long mystery for the science world until rare footage about what they were used for popped up in about 2013. As it turned out, thresher sharks use their tail like a whip, primarily for hunting small fish. They slap it across a school of fish to knock several unfortunate fish dead in an instant. But even with such epic hunting skills, thresher sharks are still classified as vulnerable to extinction. The major reason? They have a low reproductive window of just 6 years before dying. Number 3. The frilled shark. Next, we have the shark that's been featured quite frequently on this channel. If the video title has the words weird or terrifying in it, you'll probably see this animal on the list. I'm talking about, of course, the frilled shark. The frilled shark usually lives around 1,500 meters deep, but in Japan, it can be found if you're really lucky between 50 and 200 meters. After footage of this shark was recorded 6 years ago, it was immediately dubbed a prehistoric shark or living fossil because, in all honesty, you'd expect to find that mug in a natural history museum, not while scuba diving off the coast of Japan. The frilled shark can reach a length of 4 meters and has very long and flexible jaws that allow it to feed on large prey, such as the Pacific octopus and other sharks. Aside from that, nothing much is known about this shark, mainly because it's rarely seen, much less caught. Number 2. The sharp-nosed seven-gill shark. Given that the sharp-nosed seven-gill shark can be found in the tropical and temperate regions of 6 out of 7 continents, you'd think that scientists would know more about these creatures. But you'd be wrong. Here are just a few things we know about it. First, and the most obvious, is the fact that it has 7 gill slits, which is 1 more gill slit than most sharks. This shark is distributed from North Carolina and the northern Gulf of Mexico to Cuba and from Venezuela south to Argentina in the western Atlantic Ocean. In the eastern Atlantic, this shark is distributed from Morocco to Namibia, including the Mediterranean Sea. It's also found in the Indian Ocean and waters off southwestern India, Aldabra Island, southern Mozambique, and South Africa. Distribution in the Pacific Ocean occurs from Japan to China, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and off the coast of northern Chile. See what I mean about these sharks being found almost everywhere? Like the frilled shark, it's a deep water species, hence the reason why we know so little about them. It prefers to hang out in waters 3,280 feet deep, where it can be found idly gliding near the ocean floor. Number 1. The angel shark. Can a shark be an angel? Well, we leave that for you to chew. But in this case, we don't mean a shark with wings and a halo on its back. Instead, we refer to a very rare species of shark notable for their flattened bodies and head. Though they resemble a stingray very much, their dorsal and caudal fins make them very different. Angel sharks have 5 gill slits on their backs and 2 dorsal fins. Both pectoral and pelvic fins are still intact. Compared to most sharks, what's unusual about them is their lower tail lobe that extends longer than the upper one. This one might be your idea of an angelic shark, but that's just nature for you. Which one of these sharks did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.